Hello, and welcome to another episode of SightCall Sessions. I'm Pete Humes, head of content at SightCall, and today I'm talking with our VP of Marketing, David Swift, and our CEO, Thomas Cottereau. Thank you for joining me, Thomas and David. I've brought you here today to talk about field service. And recently, Thomas, you went to a field service event that I'd like to hear a little bit more about. If you could tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you heard about from these field service leaders that were in the room, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was last week. We went to Boston, had this Service Council Day, happened at the Verizon headquarters. And we spent the day workshopping, discussing about how to implement remote solution. So that was the focus of the day. What are the best practices? What works? What doesn't work, etc. And what are the main pain points that we can overcome nowadays, where everything and everybody is under this massive pressure. If there's one thing that I can highlight here is the fact that everybody is getting asked to do more with less. So less resources, less time, higher customer expectations, less budget, but do more, right? Because the market is still growing. We still have a lot of equipment. Equipments are more and more complex, and they still break, right? Still need to be installed. Maintenance still has to be done, and people have to continue to serve this equipment. So really, we are from what was discussed here with the group, we are at this interesting time for field service, right? Everybody is, under this pressure of doing more with less, on having less resources, challenge with skills as well. There's this aging field service population. When I say aging, it's not pejorative. It's just the fact that, a lot of them are going to get retired in the upcoming 5 years. And we do not have, enough time to train all of this new field service tech to be at their level. So they're going to take with them all of these years of knowledge, right? The person who was just on my right at this table shared that next month is going to lose over 100 years of service experience just with techs going to retirement, right? On each of them taking over 30 years of experience with them. This knowledge was not consolidated, was not saved. And it's a real challenge for all of this organization. So we have to find solution.
Yeah, and David, you've been diving deep into some of the stats around field service and finding out, according to some of the Service Council surveys, what they are prioritizing going forward for 2024. Can you talk about what's on the top of that list?
Yeah. I mean, let's kind of step through the top items. I mean, number one for these service leaders is they are striving to meet customer expectations. So that means improving CSAT scores, and that's about 80% of them actually decided that is their top priority. And to reference what Thomas just said right there in terms of workforce shortage, doing more with less, 61% of those service leaders actually reported that they expect that workforce and talent shortage to have, in fact, the most negative effect on their service business. It's a huge problem. And that knowledge transfer, without a doubt, is paramount to a lot of these leaders right now.
There's a lot of urgency around it. Thomas, when you were talking with some of these leaders, they were looking for solutions that they could implement pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of also one of the good news is that there are solutions, right? I remember when I worked in field service back in the days. It was maybe over 30 years ago. At this time, we had no cell phone, no cloud, no remote access to the equipment. I worked with Matra Communications, and we were deploying PBX on all of the enterprise telephony systems. And at
What's
this
that?
time,
PBX? PBX?
yeah, that's the box that we were deploying on site, where all of your phones were wired to,
Okay.
right? So, and then we had to configure them. Each company had their own. Everything was on-prem, and your phone was, wired to your desk, wired to this PBX system, and had to be configured. So, definitely, we had to do everything on site, right?
Yeah.
Well, now we are living in, this age where my kids don't even know what a phone that is wired looks like, right? Just have, they just have, smartphones that are connected with all of these apps in the cloud, and they expect actually, solution just at their fingertips here. And I think that's the other thing that is part of this evolution of service is also the evolution of the customer expectations, right? And David just brought this, big point on the customer satisfaction. On, I'm with you. That's the most important thing. Whatever you're doing, you do it for these customers. And service organizations are really customer oriented, right?
Yeah.
Live and breathe for their customers, as we like to do at SightCall, by the way, and like to deliver, the best service as possible. But in our days, maybe the best service is not, and the best answer is not to tell that your best tech is going to be on site as app, because it might take hours to go across the city or to go on a plane and to fly to another country to service this equipment. So there are other solutions available right now that we are virtual, that we are connected, that we can leverage all of these capabilities of these amazing phones that we have with us.
So, and David, I understand that you have a secret field service past as well that you've talked about before, but how has the sort of field evolved from the time that you were out there fixing disposals and water heaters? What's the evolution of the technology?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you ask. I mean, even today, I mean, I think the current technology adoption in the field service industry is pretty low for technicians. I mean, in general, not much has shifted in use of technology, and I think that's just because what hasn't happened until recently is creating a piece of technology that is not just a tool in a tool belt, right? It's something that truly improves the way that you deliver service to customers and the way that you're able to solve problems that are complex, right? And it's integrated into all the systems that you're being forced to use today, right? I think today, I think the same Service Council surveyed folks, and 80% of field technicians and service engineers are cited using phoning a friend, right, as their first resource when they become stuck in the field. And so just knowing that technicians are trying to communicate with each other, right, when they're stuck, it's like, how do you actually improve that communication, right? How do you actually bring a better experience to those field technicians? So they're not just phoning a friend, they're actually showing a problem, they're collaborating, getting eyes on the problem, even inviting multiple field technicians to that same virtual space to solve something that could be extremely complex. And that's where we're going with technology right now. And that's where I think a lot of field organizations are moving towards, to basically provide their technician teams with a real solution rather than that tool in the tool belt.
Yeah, and the building that bridge though is not so easy, Thomas. I mean, in terms of, we get excited about these ideas, we get excited about this technology, but connecting that to some of the technicians who have been in the field, who know what they're doing, who who figure that they've got it figured out is kind of a hard sell. How do you explain, or how can you sort of describe what technology can do for them?
Well, first of all, I want to highlight the fact that it's not just about the technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a change of a process, of a culture, right? That needs to happen. So it's change management, transformation, right? In the way people work is more important than ever to make a successful, evolution of the business process.
Right.
So with that said, I think there are three key elements to consider. The French would say three this way, maybe the American would say three this way. At the end of the day, it's the same three. The first one is the power of the team. We know that in field service, it's everything about this team, making this team successful, because things have to be done. And the ones who do the things that need to be done is this team, right? So how do we empower this team? My message there is the fact that this team should not be alone in the field. When you have one of your guys in the field, they should always be one touch away from additional resources. What are these additional resources? Where are these help coming from? The first one, very natural, is getting access to your knowledge base, to your resource, to all of this self-service, information that you can leverage. Everybody loves to find the solution by themselves first, right? And I think we have to make that easy. We've seen the first wave of transformation, right? That was called digital transformation. A lot of them were literally taking out of these paper manual and scanning them and transforming them into PDFs, right? Now you have these massive PDFs where, 357 page. Try to find the information about the water heater that you're trying to fix right now. It's tough. Furthermore, if you're on just your small smartphone and you have no service, it's going to be a real challenge, right? Yeah. So here, I think the first solution to make it easier and to match this knowledge base to the need of the person in the field in the moment of service is leveraging some AI capabilities as we can bring with SightCall, right? In this app, you can just ask with natural language, hey, can you help me fix the problem on this? Use also, all of the vision capabilities of the platform, take a picture, get the analysis of this equipment, and get contextual information based on your own documentation around it. That's, I think, the first right answer. But as you know, not everything can be answered by all of this documentation. As powerful as the AI and the knowledge base can be, a lot of this knowledge come from other team members, right? So then the second point is to engage another team member who can be in the field, the guy who knows, was there, 30 years of experience, the guy who knows this machine. Some organizations also have more and more, central organization with kind of level 2 or level 3 or level 4 experts who can answer any type of questions on this equipment and so help you be successful the first time. This first time fix rate is absolutely key to this organization, right? And then there's a third point that is less common that I also want to bring here to the discussion is sometimes engage the customer. A lot of service organizations are a bit shy to involve the customer in the diagnosis or troubleshooting loop, for example. When this customer is calling you to share their problem, what they want, what they expect in this new, type of mobile-first world is a solution immediately. Mm-hmm. So if you get them involved into this diagnostics loop by, leveraging SightCall with them asking them to show you the equipment, what the problem is, explaining them maybe one or two simple things to be done there, collecting the information about potentially the part that needs to be replaced, the tool that you need to come in there, the type of problem that you have, then you're going to serve them much more efficiently, right? And when you're going to dispatch this technician, if needed, because trust me, there's a lot of times where, by the way, this simple problem can be solved also just remotely. But if ever you have to dispatch one of your technicians, then they can make sure that the problem will be fixed the first time. So it's really the combination, of evolution of the processes of the organization, of the team, and then leveraging the right tools to engage the right way the technician with self-service, with other team's members, and with the customer. It's the whole ecosystem that needs to be thought through.
Yeah, it sounds like a very proactive approach to service with a lot of transparency. David, what do you want to tell service leaders or service technicians or team members that sort of wake up every morning and try to balance, what needs to be done with the resources they have available? Like, what are the ways for them to be more efficient, be more effective?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, one thing to always, wake up and know that you are the expert, right? And to know that you can go and confidently deliver the experiences that you want to for your customers. And that there are solutions out there to support you and help build that confidence, right? Installing a water heater is, as Thomas referenced, I mean, I've done that before for a leaky water heater and went back there and, there was a bunch of big mushrooms growing out of the carpet. Never seen that before in my life. And I didn't know what to do. And I wish I could have, kind of maybe shared a video at that time with some of my peers. And maybe I could have called a mycologist. Maybe that was a filter on my mobile app where I could find the mycologist to identify that mushroom. But what I guess what I'm getting at is you never know what you're going to find. Right. And that even using the AI as self-service, empowering the customer with a remote service to help them maybe find that mushroom before I show up and freak out, know what I'm coming into. Regardless, I mean, there are solutions today to ensure that when you go out in the field, right, and this is what SightCall provides, right, that you can approach your day with confidence to deliver the experience that you're setting out to deliver. It's amazing what is able to be done today with the collaboration tools and how these connected systems can enhance your day to day.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful, Thomas, when you were talking about not leaving a technician alone. There really is no reason to leave them alone anymore. It's like we have GPS to tell us where we are in the world and where we need to go. There's, smartphones, so we're always, a call away or a text away from somebody. So, Thomas, do you have anything else to add that you would sort of tell service leaders who are struggling with doing more with less?
Well, yeah, just another interesting discussion that happened in Boston with the service leaders was also about the empathy. It was interesting to have this discussion there as well, where, by empowering the technicians to make sure that they can be successful, whatever the work has to be done, giving them much easier access to the information, to other experts. Also, free them up from the stress of being able to do it and make it work by themselves alone, right? And so they can also deliver much better service. They can have more empathy with the customer. And at the end of the day, all of that is highly important into this number one metric that David shared, which is the customer satisfaction. So I think that's this kind of virtuous cycle that happened there, making your team more successful, happier on the customer as well, right? So it's a process. It's even a cultural shift, I would say. I was discussing with some, service leaders who implemented this kind of change, would tell me that, hey, one of the big things was really changing the culture from a culture of training to a culture of success. What I mean by that is this culture of training was, hey, if you did not have the training on this particular equipment, you can't go on site. To a culture of success where, okay, you are available, go on site and try to fix it. And by the way, you're not alone, because whatever happens there, we've got your back. So
Right.
That's kind of the key message on this key change that can happen in field today.
Yep. The virtuous cycle made possible by SightCall. So, all right. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you for watching us. See you next time on the next episode of SightCall Sessions. Thank you all.
Thanks.